So this is the next layer. I think this is third or fourth layer I'm discussing now. I can't remember again. But if you're not following me, I've been talking about being how it feels or what it actually feels like to be the only African professional in the room. There's a specific exhaustion that comes from being the only African professional in the room, either in school or at the corporate workplaces. And I've been trying to be very careful about naming these issues, but I think it's underestimated, right? I've talked about accent, I've talked about hypervisibility, I've talked about being overlooked because of your look, even um being having your expertise overlooked, right? Because because of your background or because of where you're coming from. However, I want to talk about something else, right? That is mostly underestimated, even by us, if the people experiencing it, even by you watching me. Because when we talk about accent, you say, yeah, they did this to me when I was looking for a job. They didn't give me a job because they heard my accent and they didn't want somebody like that. People facing roles majorly, yes. Or hypervisibility. You come into a room and you're the only person in that room and you're hype. Everybody knows you are there. However, your contributions are overlooked. Yes. But there's this one thing that even us who are African professionals underestimate. So the more we underestimate it, the more the people outside, the people who we sit with, who are non-Africans, the colleagues who are whites, do these things to us. Now, when you are the only one, you're the only African, you become something, you become a representative. You become a representative of Africa, the African community. If you're Ghanaian, you become a representative of the Ghanaian community. If you are in academics, for instance, you become a representative of African academic training in that room. When you are outside, say in a corporate or other professional environments, you become a representative of African professional culture. You become a representative of what African people are like. So there's that burden that it's not a yoke. I won't call it a yoke. Right? There's that burden of carrying this thing, this representation. I tried to ask someone a few weeks back about this issue, but then the person didn't really understand where I was coming from. Right? In that situation of representing Africa or representing your cultural perspective, every opinion you offer is unconsciously processed not just as your opinion, but as the African opinion. Anything you do is smeared, is rubbed onto every other African that is later seen elsewhere. Every mistake you make carries a representative weight that your colleagues, your friends, or your family would not make, or weight that your people, your colleagues' mistakes don't carry. For instance, if say we were writing in a group and I, as the African professional, I was taking notes, right? If I make a mistake with a spelling of a word, you see, the weight of that mistake will not be dealt with like it is when another person makes the mistake. it will now be like, oh yeah, her background, if I make a mistake with the spelling, for instance, my background is coming into play. My culture is coming into play. The food I eat, if I'm not mistaken, is coming into play. Being hyper visible in that room is coming into play. Questioning my qualification or my need to even be in that room at that moment is coming into play. But if my other colleague who is white or who is non-African makes a mistake, he just say, ha ha ha, laugh it out, correct it, and everybody moves on. Every success you have as an African professional in the room is both your success and somehow proof of something about a continent of about 1.4 billion people. How ironic it is that people will see one person and put the load of an expectation of about 1.4 billion people on that one person. Practical example that I've been in settings where, okay, yeah. A question about the Nigerian healthcare system. Now, let's even talk about the countries and the African nations and the fact that many people, even if they know, they do not want to agree that Africa is not one country. They think Africa is, so when they see, okay, she's from Africa, when you landed from Africa, when you know, sometimes I want to scream. Sometimes like, look, I'm Nigerian. But again, it's not important. I'm proudly Nigerian. I'm proudly African. You see this one, you can't take it away from me. You can take every other thing, but see this one, you can't take it away from me. I'm proud of where I come from. So yeah, there are questions about African healthcare systems, sometimes the African research capacity. There was one day, sorry, before I go on, I'm really interjecting this video right now, but there are so many things coming into play in my head right now that I feel I need to share. Before I move on, there was this time that we were talking about the African research perspective, and they were talking about other people, talking about how research is in their own countries, the research, the productivity of researchers, of course, papers, publishing and everything. And I was looking at them. Somehow, in my proud and somehow my arrogant behavior, I was like, I have not seen researchers that are as committed to their research and to their science and to their art when it comes to research as African professionals. And there was this, ooh. However, where is the proof? The proof they are in low quality journals, of course. The proof is research products that are not coming out of Africa. And many people will not understand is as a result of the backward nature of our politicians, of our government, people who cannot actually invest into research. So many of our researchers do not have the financial and economic power to push their research, to push the outcomes of their research out into the world for people to see. And that is why, but sometimes when you talk about African researchers, it looks as if they are not doing anything. No, we are doing a lot. It's just what it is. It is what it is, like you say. Again, let me go back. I digress. So, I digress from another example. Imagine. Okay, wait. So yeah, we're talking about, or there were questions about, African healthcare systems, their research capacity in the universities, the corporate culture. And somehow, because I was the only person in the room, right? The question was naturally directed at me. And it's not because I wasn't ready or proud to answer that question, dude, but it was as though my own personal experience constituted a representative data for that conversation. Now, this is me who hasn't had a streamlined professional career. I have a pharmacy background. I've worked in hospitals. I've worked in community pharmacies. However, I've worked in the industry. In the industry, I've done sales. I've done marketing. I've done supply chain management. I've done branding, brand management. Do you understand? Then I went for my master's. Even in the master's program, my first master's program was in pharmaceutical sciences. The other one was in pain management. And then I'm doing a PhD. So it's not a one size fits in. Some people's story may be different. Some people would have graduated pharmacy school and worked in the hospital all through before, coming maybe to New Zealand, or before relocating to the country they are, or before they meet these people that would want to treat them this way. Do you understand? So representation, having one person representing the whole of Africa would not help that person. That's not how you help the person. I remember being in rooms. Now, this is not professional settings now, where as I'm coming, they'll be playing music or videos or showing documentaries from Africa. And the media, that thing is not really about the media. Sometimes it's about these non-governmental organizations. If they want to collect money from big organizations from the US, they will go to the interior rural villages and make videos of children without clothes, walking about in their panties, or sometimes even without their panties, and kids. And take those videos and put it on social media or put it on their platforms. So I was walking into a room one day, and it's those kind of videos they were playing, and it was more like, yeah, look at your people. It was more like, look at your people. And sometimes I'm pushed to say, look, where I'm from is even more developed than, where we are now. But again, there are just some conversations that also debates that you don't want to put yourself inside. So if people want to be ignorant about situations and circumstances, allow them to be. Sometimes just allow people to be stupid if it will help their mental health. If it will help them smile for that day or be happy for that day, sometimes just allow them do it. Because sometimes when they do these things, it's not with any hostile intent. It's like I said in my previous videos, is because of that is their limit of their knowledge, right? And again, it's from a place of genuine curiosity. But you say that on the line, I think I need some water. You say that on the line assumptions that I speak for a continent is one that no European or American colleague would ever ask to carry about Europe or America. If an European colleague is talking about something or there was a discussion, he just makes an example about himself or themselves and their experience, and everybody accepts it. Nobody puts this burden of that experience being related to the whole of Europe on that person. I don't know if I'm making sense on this one, but yeah, that's just it. One European person does not represent the whole of Europe. One American does not represent the whole of America. So why is it that one African in a room represent the whole of Africa? Why is it that one Nigerian in a room represents the whole of Nigeria? Why is it that one Congolese or one Rwandan or one Ethiopian in a room represent the whole of Ethiopians? I've met different Ethiopians, for instance, and they've come with different behaviors and characters and mannerisms. So would I say because of the bad one or the mannerism of the bad one, the rest of Ethiopians are bad? No. But I say because of the good mannerism of the good one, the rest of Ethiopians are good? No. Anyways, let me move on before this one becomes too long again. And there is this calculation error in a presentation or a mismembered citation in a seminar. And, the weight that African name carries is not the same way a colleague's name would carry. What I'm trying to say is, if I come into a room or maybe there's I submit an abstract for a presentation, for instance, and you see my surname, at least the surname I bear as of today is Ilemabo. You see an Ilemabo versus a Stone or a Clarks or a Chanel or, all these white fancy names. The weight that white fancy name carries will be stronger, will be more like accepted than the name my 11-born name will carry. Because, and for people in doing this thing, the mistake is not just theirs, right? It's in the unconscious architecture of the room. Is a systemic thing, is a structural thing. That was how it was built, right? And it's this evidence about African academic standards. So because some people say the African academic standard is not good, so when you see an African person's name, it doesn't carry weight enough to be put in that presentation or to be put in that job or to be considered for that grant or opportunity. And this weight is not often spoken about because it's strongly felt and it's real. It's real. Now, the compounding effect of this representative layer, like I call it, over time is high. Right? You begin to self-doubt, you begin to self-edit, you begin to put yourself together, you begin to triple-check things, with your colleagues. You triple-check things with your colleagues. I'll just give it a single check. In fact, your colleagues will see what you do. They'll begin to become envious of your intelligence or your hard work, the hard work you've put into this, because they wouldn't have done that. You begin to choose your words in public settings, with that precision that it's mostly exhausting. Why do I have to pet you for you to understand me when I know you can understand me if you want to? Because if you need my help, you understand me. If you need me to explain something to you, you understand me. Why is it that when it's a one-to-one conversation or we're in a general place, I need to now put myself in check? As an African professional in this kind of setting, you become hyper conscious of your own performance in ways that can consume cognitive resources that should be going to actual work when you're supposed to be doing actual work. Say you're at a cafe and you're supposed to be working with colleagues because you are under this pressure of accent issues, hyper visibility, representation. You are doing the work of putting yourself together, making your accents feel welcome or shrinking yourself. taking out the time that you're supposed to be doing the actual cognitive work the reason why you are there. For some people, for some students, the time it would take for them to, get their grades right, be top of the top. They are worried about their accents. They are worried about the representation. I don't want to mess up because it will seem as though every other African behaves like, no. Sometimes this is called the mental tax of being a minority in a space. And naming it is the beginning of managing it rather than being silently consumed by it. If you're an African professional somewhere and you've watched the last 3 episodes in this mini series, one thing you can do that will help you, I've been giving advices, but one thing you can do that will help you is look for someone that you can trust and genuinely voice out how you feel about this issue of over representativeness or representativeness or accents or hyper visibility or even being the only African in the room. Look for a fellow African you can talk to. Talk to someone. Don't be consumed by it. Don't be consumed silently by it. Don't be boxed into one corner. You can be in the corporate world. Right now in the industry, right now they are doing things, in industry you have your main role, then you have other sub, committee roles that they invite people to. Don't hide yourself. Be there. Be there when they call for people to maybe volunteer in the workplace or organize some kind of event in the workplace. If you know you can do it and you have the time and it won't affect your main role in any way, be there. These people, they understand you. And if they don't, you will learn. You will learn how to speak or how to behave in a way, in a respectable way, in a way that they will understand you. It's not about arrogance. It's not about avoiding the tall poppy syndrome, because with or without anything, just being African in a room is enough tall poppy syndrome. Because how dare us? Who are we? According to them, right? I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to continue because I've mentioned all the 4 negative layers that come with being the only African in a room. I want to talk about next the moment of belonging. How to belong in these rooms. Join me in the next episode. See ya. Take care of yourself and each other. This is Ruth.